These are the top 10 films of 1958. When I say top 10, I mean my personal favourite films of 1958. It's coronavirus season, we're all stuck inside. I think I've been in here a month. So let's get on with the list. In at number 10, The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. This fantasy adventure film stars Kerwin Matthews as Sinbad the Sailor, but the real hero of this picture is Ray Harryhausen and his stop-motion puppets. The film doesn't really have that much of a plot, it's just sort of setups for his next wonderful monster, whether it be a cyclops, a giant multi-headed bird, a sword-fighting skeleton that proves so popular they brought it back for Jason the Argonauts, but tenfold. You can see the love and attention that has gone into his creations, and they really are spectacular to look at. And it really is just about the special effects, much like a current modern day blockbuster. We're just moving from set piece to set piece. And you know, I really don't have a problem with that. It's a really fun, exciting movie. The director, Nathan H. Duran, released 4 films that year. Good Day for a Hanging, The Brain from Planet Arous, and Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, whose poster is a lot more exciting than the movie itself. She doesn't really destroy a city, she just sort of wanders around a bit. They remade it in the 90s starring Daryl Hannah, the most fascinating thing being that the special effects are worse.
Miss me? I don't suppose you want to hear my side of this.
In at number 9, Mon Oncle. Jacques Tati is back as Monsieur Hulot. We're introduced to his nephew, and Monsieur Hulot is the uncle. And like many of his films, it sort of deals with post-war France and the strange new architecture and how he doesn't feel like he belongs in this world. Very, very funny. In at number 8, Equinox Flower. This Ozu film deals with different attitudes between generations about marriage and arranged marriage. We follow a rather old-fashioned businessman who is a little bit liberal with other young women, but when it comes to his daughter, he's very old-fashioned. This isn't must-see Ozu, but like almost all of his films, it's very charming and very watchable and very real. In at number 7, The Big Country. This grand western stars Gregory Peck as a city dweller who moves to the bigger country. Everybody treats him like, oh, he's a city boy, he doesn't know what's going on, he can't ride a horse, oh, ha ha ha. But Gregory Peck is very serious and will do things correctly and doesn't want to cause a scene. And it's perfect casting for Gregory Peck. There's a great thing where even though he doesn't want to show his strength or do violent things, he is actually capable of doing it. He just doesn't feel the need to show off about it. Usually these films revolve around a guy coming from a city to the wilds and he can't do anything, but Gregory Peck is actually capable in this. Charlton Heston plays a sort of horse hand, right hand man who's tough and really doesn't like Gregory Peck, and they have a great fist fight out in the big country. It's a good film with great performances, a wonderful soundtrack. Sometimes it's great just to sit back and look at the big country. In at number 6, The Hidden Fortress. This Kurosawa adventure epic set in feudal Japan follows 2 peasants who want to kind of get rich by sort of joining this war between 2 tribes. It's got great humour, wonderful set pieces, a huge scale. Currently, it's most referred to as a film that influenced Star Wars. George Lucas loved the movie and sort of took the idea of following 2 peasants rather than warriors and transported that to, you know, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away and having us follow the droids. But the droids are very different characters. These peasants just want money, they'll screw you over. In fact, I kind of would have preferred it if C-3PO was just like, well, let's just sell the princess in for some credit. Why don't we just burn her? You know, that would be more interesting. Or not, I don't know, maybe that'd be really a mess. It's become this strange thing where you can't mention The Hidden Fortress without mentioning Star Wars, and I know I've done that as well, but this is a film worthwhile watching without thinking about Star Wars at all. It's very much its own thing. You can see how influential it is, but it's just a really fun, action-packed adventure comedy. It's a great movie. In at number 5, Cairo Station. This Egyptian movie has such energy and is absolutely riveting. It takes place in Cairo Station over the course of a day, and you follow a series of different characters. A woman who sells fizzy drinks to train passengers illegally, so she's always being chased by the police. A man who wants to start a union for people who carry people's bags, and a disabled guy who sells newspapers who is obsessed with women and has all these cutouts of sort of American bombshells. The film's unlike anything I've ever seen. There's a scale and a real sense of place, and trains moving everywhere, and noise and screaming and dancing. And horror. And humour. It's one of these films you can't believe what you're looking at. I mean, it's just this astonishing. You feel like you're in Cairo in 1958 in the station as hundreds of people are moving through. A great movie, really recommend it. In at number 4, Ice Cold and Alex. This British World War II film follows a group of people in an ambulance travelling across the desert in North Africa, desperately trying to reach Alexandria, where they want to have a beer.
The next drink I have is going to be a lager. Ice cold.
John Mills stars as an alcoholic captain who's sort of leading this team of people through the desert. He's desperate for a drink, and it's a wonderful performance. He's quite weak because he's damaged and scared from the war so far. He has difficult relationships with other people.
You're right, bastard.
The group of people get in so many amazing scenarios and edge-of-your-seat tense moments, whether it be in a minefield or being chased down by Germans. It's a great movie and a real sense of adventure. The only thing is they desperately want to get a Carlsberg, which I mean I don't really like as a beer. I mean I'm drinking San Miguel, which isn't the best beer, but you know in these times, you know, whatever you got.
I've got 1,000 cigarettes and 3 bottles of gin.
Export on Effie.
This is a great British movie with some really good performances, some really tense moments, and you feel the heat in the desert as you're following them in this car journey. It's great. In number 3, Touch of Evil. This late example of a film noir directed by Orson Welles takes place in a border town in Mexico and a border town in America, and stars Charlton Heston as a Mexican drug enforcer. The scene-stealing performance, though, is Orson Welles as the police captain, and fat and drinks too much. What's wonderful is it's so clearly filmed on location, and these great moments driving through cars in border towns. It's very famous for its opening long tracking shot where you follow a man planting a bomb in a car, and then you follow the car as it's passing people and cars and police and our 2 main characters. It's incredibly tense and really well executed. This is a dark film with police corruption and torture and murder, but don't worry, it all ends well for everybody. In at number 2, Vertigo. This Alfred Hitchcock film would probably be number 1 on a lot of people's list, whether that list be of 1958 or just the 50s or of all time. It's a great film. The colour cinematography and dream sequences are astonishing. There's amazing camera techniques. We follow James Stewart as Scotty, a detective who's chasing a criminal, and he nearly falls, and he gets a little bit of vertigo, so he can go on, you know, a little bit higher and then a little bit higher. We go. He's asked by an old friend of his to follow his wife, who he believes has been sort of taken over by the spirit of a woman who died many years ago. It's a psychological thriller that doesn't always quite make sense, but there are these amazing visual elements, amazing dream sequences, and a beautiful score from Bernard Herrmann. The film's quite twisted in some ways. There's sort of this bizarre bit where James Stewart becomes obsessed with a woman, making her try and look more like the woman he fell in love with, and he's going, change your hair, change your shoes, and it's all this is going on. So it's quite a strange film. Do I agree that it's the greatest film of all time? No. But is it a great film? Yes. Is it worth watching? Yes. Is it worth watching again? Yes again. It's a great film. Vertigo. And in at number 1, Ashes and Diamonds. This Polish film is unlike anything I've ever seen. It's set in Poland the day that Germany surrendered, and there's sort of a celebration going on, but at the same time Poland is in this strange middle ground where the sort of communists are taking over, but there's people who want it to return to how Poland was before. Our main character is an assassin, a former soldier who's now part of the sort of anti-communist underground movement. He's tasked with killing the local secretary of the Polish Workers' Party, and we follow his attempts to do this over the sort of course of a day, which leads to this hotel where there's sort of a celebration party going on. There's so much going on in this hotel. We have people having a wonderful celebratory time, we have people missing their home, we have people who want to assassinate someone, we have a father who's having problems with his son who has joined the underground movement. There is one of the best performances of a drunk person in any movie ever. And the movie moves from being incredibly funny to very touching and moving to terribly frightening and depressing. It's got everything. It's a great movie. An educational movie, a fun movie, a funny movie. It's got everything going on for it. I really recommend people watch Ashes and Diamonds. It's great. Counting down the top 10. In at number 10, The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. In at number 9, Mon Oncle. In at number 8, Equinox Flower. In at number 7, The Big Country. Number 6, The Hidden Fortress. Number 5, Cairo Station. Number 4, Ice Cold and Alex. Number 3, Touch of Evil. Number 2, Vertigo. And number 1, Ashes and Diamonds. Well, that was my list of favourite films of 1958. What are your favourite films of 1958? Cheers.